Hello and welcome to Game Changer. I'm Mariam Zia. Tonight we explore how artificial intelligence is transforming diplomacy and reshaping global relations. We are joined in the discussion by Mr. Muhammad Ali Inayat. Welcome to the program. Mr. Inayat, when we are discussing with different dimensions of AI and of course its applications and significance in diplomacy and future of artificial intelligence, but ethical considerations remain an important aspect when we talk about AI, and transparency is also key ethical consideration. How can nations ensure that the black box nature of many AI systems do not compromise accountability, especially in diplomatic decision making and other institutional decision making as well?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum to everybody. Thank you very much for having me. You raised a very prudent question for sure. I'll briefly try to answer that. If I have to sum it up in a very precise manner, I will say that all of the legislations and all of the declarations, including the one which had just happened in Paris, are basically focused on one single point, that is the data ownership and the ethical use of that particular data which is being produced by AI. That is the one-liner. Now, coming to your question, if I be more specific on the South Asian region where Pakistan is based out of, there is a fundamental need, first of all, to have very clear and concise data and privacy regulations in place for AI to operate. We must understand that AI is not something which is new. It is for sure new for some of the regions and for some of us who has been exposed to this particular subject most recently, but this has always been around, and the issues related to AI are not new, because the issues related to AI data governance are somehow a kind of a bigger picture of what the data privacy related issues are. So I will say that as far as the ethical use of AI or the ethical use of the overall AI evolution we are encountering nowadays is concerned, that requires the first step is to have very strong legislation around data privacy, and that needs to be done at a national level. And I would like to update.
Legal framework is the next step, but at this point in time, we see a huge technological divide between the countries across the globe. And with the launch of DeepSeek, that has challenged Western AI tools. Mr. Inayat, how do you view this development? And also, do you think that this is going to be helping countries in the global south, especially in our region? And what measures should leaders take to lessen the technological divide between the countries?
Very good question again. As far as the DeepSeek is concerned and versus the OpenAI, which is coming from US, and DeepSeek is coming from China. So basically, I will rather call it more of a healthy competition. I don't take that as a war, because you see, these tools are publicly available to anybody without any restriction of geography. So I will not call it a war. I will rather call it a very healthy competition which has come up. And before that, we have seen that competition in other areas as well. For example, the economy and the oil and the export and imports. But now the war zone is the technology front, which I see as a technology evangelist as a very healthy sign. As far as this is concerned, that how will it benefit? It will for sure create more push for countries like Pakistan to actually develop these technologies. And I would like to just quickly mark on this point and articulate on this point that Pakistan should not only become a consumer of technology, we should also think to innovate. And that is something which nobody is talking about, honestly. We are only talking about the consumption of all these technologies, but we are not talking about actually building something of our own.
Right, but what kind of infrastructure or what kind of facilities we need at this point in time to, of course, incorporate artificial intelligence or AI technologies in our diplomacy and other institutions?
I will not go into the details of that, but artificial intelligence is already used at a very high level in many institutions, public institutions. But as far as public use of AI for governance is concerned, I think that is something also in the process. And there are so many applications of AI in diplomacy and in running a government, for that matter. As far as, because I come from a background of cybersecurity and now I'm interacting with AI solutions as well. So we have heard about the 5th generation war. What exactly was fifth generation?
You talked about, of course, you talked about cybersecurity. So it would be very pertinent question for you to talk about use of artificial intelligence in military domain and for surveillance, because we have seen that it has been used, like you mentioned, for years and for ages in military domain. So do you think that we need some kind of regulatory framework in that regard as well? And are there some restrictions when it comes to sovereignty of nations?
Well, as far as regulatory frameworks are concerned, they are for the technological advancements which are brought into the notice of public. So when we are talking specifically about the defense sector, it's not mandatory for any country's defense sector to actually publicize whatever technology they are working on. So this is the kind of a niche where a strong governance framework may be required in terms of how you will govern the evolution of those technologies, because obviously the more sensitive the domain of application like defense, you need to have more control on the kind of applications and solutions you are developing. So I will say that the risk is more on the side of how do you protect whatever you are trying to build rather than regulating that particular area, because normally these things don't come into practical domains, and I'm talking from a very practical perspective.
Right, but don't you think there is need for some international regulatory frameworks, especially regarding artificial intelligence, so that it does not destabilize international security?
Yes, you're right. And there has been many efforts. I do understand that the Paris Accord was not signed by some of the countries, including UK.
Yes.
But in United Nations, there is a continuous effort to actually harmonize the use of artificial intelligence and the regulations which the countries are developing. And there has been a lot of progress in United Nations. So I must say that it's not one platform which is trying to unify all these legislations and frameworks. There are many stakeholders, including United Nations and the individual governments and the defense sector organizations who are trying to somehow harmonize that. So I think that as the AI is also evolving, and especially for South Asia, it is in the very early stages. These regulatory changes will also take some time to appear on the front.
How do you think Pakistan should be utilizing those technologies? And can you share some successful examples of utilizing AI in such scenarios where some conflict was averted successfully?
Yes. So before I directly go to the answer, I would like to highlight that there is another significant development which is actually contributing to the, if I may say, success of artificial intelligence adoption, and that is quantum computing. You might have heard that Google has recently inaugurated one of their quantum computers, and what it does with AI is that it adds up to a lot of compute to actually process the AI data. And with this combination now, as you were saying, that what kind of possible simulations can be there, any kind of possible simulations can be there. The answers to whatever is happening in space, the answer to what kind of environmental hazards can come in, this is already happening. So the compute and the intelligence are now coming together, and you can expect anything to be simulated very soon.
Right. And with AI, of course, analyzing such huge data, what should be the role of research institutions, in your opinion, in this regard?
Well, if your question is in particular for Pakistan, then I must say,
yes.
Yeah. So I must appreciate the role of the universities. They have taken initiatives to establish working groups. I have been part of some of them, and they are now trying to encourage the students to research in the subdomains of artificial intelligence as well. But a lot needs to be done at a government level. I will give you a very quick and short example that there is an institution called NAHI, which is responsible for educating the faculty of all of the public and private sector universities. So I saw one of their recommended training list, and artificial intelligence was not one of them. I wrote a letter to them highlighting that please do include artificial intelligence in that, because there are 50 topics which have been suggested, but unfortunately not one of them is related to artificial intelligence. So a lot needs to be done at a government level, but I think that at a individual capacity, the universities are taking the right step, and the students are also showing a lot of interest in that, because we have no shortage, absolutely no shortage of talent, if I may tell you, but we need a little bit of infrastructure to support that talent.
Right, and we need to streamline all those, of course, facilities that we have. Thank you very much, Mr. Ali Inayat, for joining us in today's program. That's all from tonight's discussion. Take care. Allah Hafiz.